I'm Sharon Kilbreath, and I started out as a physiotherapist in Canada, and I had the opportunity when I did my master's in Canada to come to Australia for 1 year, and theoretically I was going to go back to Canada and settle down and be a good clinician. Well, I came to Australia, and within my first year I'd signed up for a PhD with a fantastic supervisor, Simon Gandevia at Neuro. At that point, they were still down at the old Prince Henry Hospital. I was interested in neurophysiology because I really wanted to understand how you control the hand function to improve it following stroke. It's an area that's really poorly managed. So I looked at sticking fine wires into motor units and recording them for my PhD. So I was quite lucky, probably not, lucky is always a wrong word, but I was in the right position at the right time. I received a scholarship from NHMRC to do my PhD. So I had an academic role. I could step out of that for the time that I did my PhD and then go back to it following my PhD, which was quite good. It allowed me to get on with it. So the first few years after my PhD, I worked on motor control using the knowledge that I had gained to look at ankle sprains, motor control following ankle sprains, as well as following stroke. We did quite well in stroke. We got 2 NHMRC grants. But from the allied health perspective, there was a group of us all doing quite well in stroke rehab, and we were all going after the same population. It's really hard. Like you see the same patient going from one study to the next study to the next study. Not really good. So around that time of our second NHMRC grant, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And so it was aggressive cancer and everything, so you get hospitalized. And taking an academic point of view, what I did was get into the literature to see what to do following treatment of cancer. Like you hear rumors of things like lymphedema, etc., and you don't want to end up with that. There was a paucity of literature in this area, and I can still remember, you have those shots in your mind of different events over your course of your life, was a recent graduate when I had taught a physio coming to my bedside with this list of ridiculous exercises that I was supposed to do to prevent things. And at that time, I had, at that point, the head of school, who was also my friend, sitting beside my bed as she gave me these exercises. And we're like, what did we teach you? Go back to the literature, and sort of before I finished chemotherapy, we were putting in our first grant using my colleagues. Simon Gandevia, my supervisor, is internationally renowned for fatigue. So taking him to a slightly different area, we put a grant in looking at fatigue following chemotherapy, looking at it from a physiological point of view. Most of the work up to that point had been very much in the psychological domains. It was a brand new area. It's nice to go into an area where there's not a lot of competition. We started doing projects into the area of breast cancer rehabilitation. We put an ad in the newspaper, for example, and usually you hope you might get 1 or 2 people responding. We were looking at the biomechanics effect of having a mastectomy. I can still remember my RA very upset with me. She couldn't get her coat off because as soon as she put the phone down, it'd ring again. We had 150 women call us to volunteer for our study. This was unheard of in our other areas. We got a few grants, and one of the things that I did to think about when you're looking at your academic career, I received a National Breast Cancer Career Fellowship. It allowed me to step outside my standard 40-40-20 academic role to do my 5-year fellowship. When that fellowship was over, I could then step back into my academic 40-40-20. I've never gone back to being in the classroom. I've actually had other leadership roles that I offered that experience. I took over the Associate Dean Research Students position, still actually allowed me to keep my research really going well at the same time, but giving students, all HDR students, similar experiences, pushing that they have the same culture that I had, that it's really important, the training that goes alongside you conducting your projects, who you meet, how you meet them, the opportunities that are given to you to capitalize on them. If you're thinking of an academic career, do you have teaching experience? So, you know, I've talked to a few of you today. Go and volunteer, if nothing else. Get things on your CV. The other thing that became, because I've been on a fellowship, I've done a lot of reviews for MBCF. I've done the early career fellowships, for example, and one of the things that came out, it's not just the science. What leadership opportunities have you done? It's very competitive out there, so look at other opportunities to improve your CVs. I now am the Deputy Dean Academic. I love this role because it's really focusing on development and mentoring. And again, I still keep our research going. I've got a person arriving Sunday from Canada to work with me for 6 months, someone from China in a few more weeks' time, and then at the end of the month, someone from Austria joining the team as well. So the take-home message is take every opportunity that arises. You don't know where it's going to take you, and don't be afraid to change. I was telling some of them that I'm about to go to Harvard. I'm going to work with basic scientists. I've never done this. We're going to look at lymphatics, and I'm so excited about it. So. Wonderful.